we talk about fashion, it's something that surrounds us, from shoes to clothing, accessories to jewelry. It's all part of the same creative language. But building a career, and even more so, launching a fashion brand in a foreign country is no easy feat. To better understand what it takes to establish a brand in Germany, we're here joined by Damur Huang, a Taiwanese designer based in Berlin since 2015. Damur, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, Sandy.
Your outfit is like really chic and interesting. Can you tell us about it?
So today I just in the morning put my idea about what Hasha Damur should look like, and I put the a little bit like spicy shirt and with our latest like a slack campaign t-shirt and with my personal style with a perfect actually little plastic flipper for Taipei weather and also jeans, and I think this is also presenting the mixture of like a urban style but also alternative-ish of a Berlin Taipei mix.
Very interesting. But of course, I'd like to know, like, can you first tell us more about yourself and what got you into fashion?
I think in my very early childhood, I was studying in classic music, French horn and orchestra. And then after I was obsessed with computer games. So in that time I wanted to be an engineer or software engineer for computer. So because I think, okay, I can play a computer game every day. And then at my first year of a senior high, a teacher discovered I have quite a great talent in the art. And that's the time actually I started to learn the drawing, the sketching, the watercolor, all these kind of things. But initially the plan is study fine art. But don't know why, sometimes a life and destiny will always bring you to a different aspect. I transferred to the fashion department, the textile and the sweater design. And this is the moment actually I officially enter. But the way how I enter is still more technical, not typical like fashion design. Is more textile, sweater. And then after I graduated, I entered the Royal Academy of Antwerp. And then that's the moment officially to kick off as a like real fashion designer practice.
What about fashion is that it's so that inspires you, that attracts you?
I guess the fashions never get bored. It's always new every single day. I think many people have a wrong idea about when you have a very nice piece of clothes or luxury fashion. And for me, the fashion is about the movement. Even you don't speak German or French or Russian, but people will be able to read your fashion because that presenting 100% your persona, your politic, the message, and where you're actually standing or what's the value actually you believe.
So you can also say that fashion is something that is full of freedom, full of like self-expression, right?
Somehow, yes. When people actually, often I say, okay, I'm a fashion designer, people say, this guy's crazy. It's like a very typical stereotype, but it's also like a protection. So if I told people, say, oh, I'm a fashion designer, I say, it's okay, he can wear whatever he wants. But if you say, I'm a teacher, and then I say, okay, you cannot wear that like this,
When talking about design and fashion, like, can you tell me, when you first started, like, in this industry, was there anyone who inspired you or anything?
When we were young, we always have some certain style or designer. We love it. Back to my student time, and I always love Calvin Klein. I don't know why. I love it. And I think this is the moment, because you love some brand, you love some designer, and this is how you start growing the interest. And then you want to copy it, and then you want to recreate. And then from Calvin Klein to Prada, Sander, Just Van Noten. Just Van Noten is a very important designer to me because Just Van Noten really open the way actually to Belgium, to Antwerp. And this is how, like very early stage of my career or like my study path, I grew so much the different idea about seeing the fashion more than just actually the garment. That's where I really actually get the nutrition from Belgium.
You started to establish your own brand in Berlin. Why did you decide to start like your own fashion brand in a European country?
After I finished studied, and that time I live in Brussels, so we speak French. I was also, after 1 year in Antwerp, I decided to switch to university to Lagom which is also one of the best university in the world as well. But after living there for a while, I decided to myself, okay, you know what, the more you can work together with French people, because how they work is just not exactly fitting my personality. And so I decided, let's go to Berlin, Germany. I've never been there before. I always go to Paris, Netherlands. I know actually this country very well, but I never been to Germany. And so I just bought a ticket from EasyJet, 1 week holiday, stay in the Airbnb, and then send some resume, CV, and then got a job. And the next few weeks, I already moved into Berlin. And this is the moment. I don't think actually I know Germany or I knew anything about Berlin, but I guess this is always like an adventure life, It's a little bit like fashion. I guess maybe this is also presenting as a fashion designer, we are willing to take some risks actually sometimes to explore whatever new possibility.
I think what you did was really brave. And now, based in Berlin, you started your own brand, #Damur. Tell me about the name.
I moved to Berlin in the 2012, and then of course the first few years, like every fashion designer, we all need to work with some other different brand. And then after 3 years, I decided maybe it's actually time I can have my own brand. And that's the moment, you're starting from the business plan and your share flat in your room and writing all your model or paper, the concept, and then, and in that time actually we don't have a hashtag, we only have like Damur. So Damur is like my Chinese nickname or English nickname. It's like French love, like Amour Damur. And also my Chinese nickname is Damur, Damur Damur.
And what about the hashtag?
In 2007, I met it's still actually our current business partner. It's also our business angel mentor as well, and current serving for McKinsey as a board member. I think he's like my life mentor or business mentor to really lift me up actually from just creative or design and into a serious actually entrepreneur. And in that time, we always discuss actually how to make fashion relevant. And I think this is also super important for me to actually learn from him. And we talk about actually how to express, because we actually think the more is always about to create a free space actually for people to allow to share their voice and who they are. And the hashtag is a very important symbol for us today in the internet and digital world. I mean, maybe actually in the next 10 years, hashtag will not be relevant for all the algorithms. But at least actually back to 2017, the hashtag is mean everything. It's mean about today you don't have to go to newspaper, you don't have to be a reporter, or you don't have to be a politician, but you still have the chance to present your idea and a voice. And the most important is you are allowed to speak freely. And I guess that's also very beauty actually from 2017 until today, the free speech actually on the internet, and also changing a completely different behavior of our life or our social activity. So I think this is also presenting the brand. And I always think the brand is like a person. A brand in the beginning is like a kindergarten. It's like a small kid. You are still finding your own way, go left or go right. And then slowly you will actually learn something, and you will slowly changing and shifting and growing. And this year is our 10 years anniversary of building a brand. And I pretty much feel like we officially go into a university.
If you were to describe your brand's personality, how would you describe it?
I think it's always very curious. I think the #Damur is always very curious and always wondering. Definitely have a very strong critical thinking, to not in a negative way, but it's always will have a reflection. I think our customer is always choosing to wear our pieces because they see some of the design or pieces represent who they are, or even maybe actually they don't want to show who they are, but they can actually use the fashion to still express their voice without have to go crazy.
The first thing that popped into my mind is, do you plan to add a question mark to your brand as well?
No particularly. It's more about like a state of core, you know, and also like what I always believe, because when we build a brand, and often you will say, as a brand, you have to have a consistency. You have to have always a similar product. You always have to have the same style. But if you really see the Hush Damur from 2015, our first collection until now, you really see a quite a dramatic actually changing and shifting as well. But today I also see the fashion is not just a fashion brand anymore. We can have so many different revenue streams more than just actually selling the fashion. We can actually be a creator. We can creating the several different experience. The customer actually can support the brand and the fashion in so many different ways, more than just only buy your garment. And I think this is also very fascinating. Also, we are very lucky, or at least I'm very lucky to be a fashion designer in this century, because there's no right or wrong answer. There's no limitation.
I actually found out about your brand a few years ago when you guys had a runway show on the metro, which I found really interesting. Also, recently you just held one during Pride Month, right?
Yes.
And I have to say, the name was pretty popping and very extreme. Can you tell us about the show and like what made that show special and different?
I already made a fashion show more than probably 20 fashion shows so far, 20 collection. So if you want to talk about all kind of public transportation, we have done on the boat. We definitely have done on the coursework. We have done in an indoor surfing pool with the wave on the surfing board as well. Metro. I always ask myself is how can I actually express our idea or vision in a much more dynamic, also unconventional way. I always tell everybody is you think fashion is irrelevant to you, but they are everywhere. It's like air. You can deny actually you don't know them, but you need them. I believe actually our job is to demonstrate a different occasion and also allow other people to slowly actually to understand some of the message actually we're trying to deliver. So in this October, we specifically, or I intentionally don't want to actually showcase our show inside the Taipei Fashion Week, but actually outside, and also just one day before the Taipei Pride, because I think that the fashion definitely actually need to celebrate the diversity. If a fashion without the support of LGBTQ, there's no fashion. So there's no better other way to celebrate, to create a safe place, to cheer actually with all the people actually to believe this idea and the artists and talent in the show and together with us.
Your designing, like fashion design career has been very creative, very free over the years. But now with the last question, I'd like to ask you, what is your ultimate dream as a fashion designer? Like, what is your final goal by the end of the day?
As I say, the fashion today, we have so many forms. It's more than just a clothes. It can be a workshop. It can be only the design. It can be a corporation. It can be an after party. It can be a completely different experience or exhibition, or a book, or the food, anything. And so the future is still very young, and I'm very excited, looking forward how we can bring the more actually, the Hush Damur actually to the people.
So Damur, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to hear your insight on the show.
Thank you, Sandy. Hope to see you next time.
So there's been Zoom in, Zoom out. You can find more of our shows on YouTube. Just follow us, click subscribe, and maybe leave a comment. Thank you and see you next time.